Well, good morning. It's too late. It's nearly lunch. And just compliment what you have said about my past. So I have been a member of the board for Othello, which was a carrier in Germany, to be the leading competitor of Deutsche Telekom, sought to be for some years, and was responsible for broadband, multimedia, and all the new stuff. So as you explained before, I built up the Bertelsmann new media division some 10 years ago, so I know a lot about media and journalism also. And one of other station, I headed the European headquarter of a huge Japanese conglomerate, so I get some Japanese experience also in the past. So I bring with me some 40 years of high-tech following technology experience in strategic planning, as well as now with the Deutsche Medienakademie, with the transfer of competence to leading managers, to leading politicians, and trying to get up the quality of their background know-how to make decisions faster and better than ever before. This, the Deutsche Medienakademie, is an invention by Wolfgang Clement, the former Prime Minister of North Rhine-Westphalia. So it is the idea, what can we do to make the senior management in Germany better. So I hope.
Touch the mouse.
Okay.
Touchpad.
Okay. Yeah. Some facts from the past about ICT, or how it is called in other abbreviations, Times, or Deloitte, for example, says TMT. Don't matter, it's nearly the same. Innovation by accident, I have written about it, is innovation up to now something like accident. And I give some examples. PC, at the invention of the PC, I remember very well, in 1984, IBM came with a PC, and everybody looked to IBM, just waited, and everybody said, before they do not come onto the market, we will do nothing in this area. So it was massively underestimated. And some people, senior management people, said, well, we cannot imagine that one needs computing power on a personal desk, on an office desk. At the nearly the same time, there was the first digital camera called Mavica in '82, I guess, Sony Mavica. It was forecasted a huge success. And what happened? And what happened was that nobody did something in Europe or elsewhere in the world, because they said, now if Sony starts with digital cameras, we know from the Japanese they will go into the market very shortly and having a huge success. It is no worthwhile to go in electronic cameras. Unfortunately, they had misunderstood the development completely. It took another 20 years before it really came to a mass market. And back in the late 70s, there came the fax. And I remember when, at the time I was at AG Telefon, which is a huge electronic company, and everybody said it was something as Japanese stuff, because due to their written language, they need something like a fax, but it's not interesting in Europe. So this was completely misunderstood. And we can say perhaps innovation at that time, for a long time to come, it was something. It was something which has been frequently generated with a lot of accident, and very frequently with only local competence, and in big areas, in big aspects, also without strategy. There's one saying, think big and act small. And somehow the European ICT innovation strategy reminds me in the direction how not to think big and act small. So if we speak about strategies, I would say we have been rather late in building strategies. In most Western countries, ICT prospects were not discussed systematically for a long time to go. There was learnings from Boston Consulting Group in the 80s, but in fact, it was like this, that in Japan, the MITI, the ministry which was responsible for electronic strategies, for trade and so on, for the industry. They had already a very well done strategy, and so far it was written down and we could have read it if we had read it, but it was not recognized at that. At that time I got all the plans and translate from Japanese into German, and it could have been seen, and this is important for the innovation process, I think, that the Japanese at that time were planning very thoroughly how to penetrate different sectors in the electronics area, in the ICT area. But it was not regarded as reasonable or dangerous. And the consequences we have now, as for example, if you take semiconductors in the processor field, Intel and AMD are dominating. If you take memories, under the Big 10, there are 5 Asian companies and so on. A second thought is what I would call strategic tunneling. The telecommunication strategy, for example, it was very long, too long, regarded as something quite separate from IT and consumer electronics. So everybody has his specific regard, his looking just like in a tunnel, not seeing what is happening on the right and on the left side. And the pioneering issue. What is a pioneer? A pioneer is said, with one speaking, is somebody who goes always first and then has the arrows in his back. That's the problem of to be pioneers. So what we have had for a long time to come in the last decades were trials. Might be that's a little bit a specific German attitude to have trials, but if I think back in the 80s in videotex, for example, this was across Europe. There was only one exception, that was France with the Minitel, the biggest worldwide terminal or videotex market. Germany was ahead in the 90s with this broadband trial, so the first high-speed network, much faster than any US network, but it was learned not very much from them. Early pioneering could not transformed in reasonable market success, and the reason might be there was no sufficient competence. Competence penetration was very low. The lessons learned for journalism, for innovation journalism, might be the following. Latest with the arrival of the millennium bubble, one could observe that there were something new in innovation journalism, in journalism about technology, in journalism about innovation, and that was the word hype. When I started the Deutsche Medienakademie and came to Cologne, and just in the first week there was a discussion with leading experts in high-tech in Cologne, and I said, now what should we learn from the hype? And a high-ranking employee from a Ministerium of Economics in Austria said to me, what is hype? I never heard that word. So that was the first experience, but that has changed massively, I think. So there might be two consequences to be learned, which we should perhaps also discuss them. On the one hand, one could put as a question, it is a good thing to strengthen and to follow innovations if you can hype them. So the reporting community learned and circulated the idea that new tech is not something which is only in the background, a matter of engineers and other people, but you could generate hype with new tech. So this might be a possible option for future reporting about innovation. But there's another thing, which is not directly the contrary, but a little bit. Perhaps we should discuss complexity. Complexity is still a reporting problem. Major trends as ICT convergence, for example, because they are so complex and so dynamic, are not regarded, in most cases widely, as essential by the reporting community. While on the other side, sexier trends and sexier words enjoy great attention. So the consequences from this would